Do you need lube breaks, anything? This is your water.
Lube breaks? No. Oh, yeah, no. No, that's awesome. Never heard it called that. That's wonderful. No, this is great. Now I'm like intimidated of my manners.
Please. The longer
is this okay?
the longer you know me, the more you realize I have no manners.
Oh, wonderful.
So you're totally fine.
Great.
Totally fine.
I had to be like, you can't say that.
Yeah, I know. Kelsey is like my
I love it.
my
No,
check.
you should move to Texas. Yeah, it's.
I'd love to. I love Texas.
Yeah,
I love
awesome.
the South. I'm a huge fan.
Cool.
Okay, so we're gonna settle in and we're gonna go. Rolling, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm Sara Jane Ho, and this is Mind Your Manners, where no topic is off limits as we uncover the secrets to feeling at ease in every situation. Every day, we're trying to persuade someone, whether it's getting your partner to pick the restaurant that you want to go to, convincing a stranger to switch seats on a flight, or negotiating with a toddler. Communication is persuasion. But the problem isn't what to say, it's how to say it. And what if I told you that you had a tiny trial lawyer in your ear, giving you the exact words to use, calmly, clearly, and effectively? Well, today you do. Jefferson Fisher is a Texas-based trial attorney whose bite-sized communication tips have transformed how 5 million people argue, connect, and lead. His new book, The Next Conversation, Argue Less, Talk More, is a game changer. Jefferson, I'm a huge fan.
I'm so glad to be here. I really am. I'm honored. This is wonderful.
So you're a fifth-generation lawyer. Did you always know that you'd follow that path, or did it take some convincing?
I never had the pressure from family to do that. Never once did they say, you need to go to law school, you need to do this, you need to do that. It happened organically. I mean, I grew up where my dad would pick me up and put me in a corner to finish the rest of his deposition. And so I saw lots of courtrooms, I saw lots of closing arguments, and it just naturally thought of like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to do. But I never felt the pressure. I honestly was very close to doing music. I love all things music. I have a whole different like creative side that I feel a lot of passion into. And so I thought I was going to do music business. Took a lot of classes.
Like a musician?
Well, I am a musician, but I thought I was going to also go into like producing and publishing and the whole management side of things. And so I took a lot of music business classes. And that at the time, the whole thing was like music is going to be like water, because before it was all CDs. And they're like, we see this path. And that was all of our discussion of there might be something called streaming, where you pay one cost and you listen to any music that you want. It was just like mind blowing that that's what it would do. But anyway, so I never felt the pressure to do law school. But when I got to law school, I was way more comfortable than I was in college. Because I took a lot of business classes. I had finance, statistics, accounting. I was at the business school there at the University of Texas, and I struggled in accounting and finance. I'd have friends who had parents who worked for PwC, Deloitte, all these other, and they just got it. I would get into economics and I go, I don't understand this. I'm a small guy from Texas, but when I went to law school, I was like, oh, this I know, and it just fed naturally to my personality.
I've never been a numbers girl either.
Yeah.
I read in your book that when you said when you went to law school teaches you how to read the law, but not how to read people. So what taught you how to read people?
My experience of just growing up. I am the oldest of 4, and I'm also, if you get to know me, I'm kind of an old soul. Probably people pick that up of me in my car. Like I am always the dad of my friend group. I'm always the responsible one. And it taught me at an early age of how to resolve conflict with my siblings, and what I saw from my family with the trial lawyers of how not to just communicate one-on-one, but how do you communicate when other people are watching? How do you persuade without making the point? And so in a courtroom, you have
jury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have the court, you have the judge, you have the court reporter, you have the bailiff. Mind you, the 2 most important people aside from the jury are the court reporter and the bailiff.
Why?
Because they're influencing, because when they go back to deliberate and they're going in the back, the judge is talking to the court reporter and the bailiff. They're talking shop. And so they all like to talk about the case back in deliberations. So they like to, it's like going to their own little huddle. So in the judge's chambers, they're like, oh, what did you think about that piece of evidence? And they kind of start gossiping about the case. And so they already like to kind of wonder, oh, I think the jury like this. I think the jury like that. So if you're persuading everybody in the room of how, not just what you say, but how you respond to what other people say. So if another attorney says something bad for your case, if you go, like you make a face or you react to something or the judge rules against you and you're like, oh man.
It works against you.
It works against you because the jury's going, oh, that must be bad. Oh, he's trying to hide something. And everything is influencing the other. So I grew up watching all of that. And so reading people, getting to sit as a kid back in the back and watch jurors react to evidence was very educational for me on how I began my own communication journey.
And you know what's so funny? I think about when you start, let's say like when a guy starts dating a girl, it's so important that he has her friends like him too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the same kind of thing. It's not a court
Right.
reporter and a bailiff huddling, but it's like the girl goes back to her girlfriends like once the guy leaves, and first thing she says is, "So what do you think?
Right.
What do you think of him?" Right? And they have so much influence
Yes.
over. It's kind of crazy how much influence friends will have over the guy you date, or your family has over the man you marry.
Oh, absolutely. That whole group think is a real thing. So it's the same thing for the courtroom, same thing for everyday life. And that influenced a lot on how I thought, well, how do you start to read people? Because law school doesn't do that. Law school is, you have case law, here's the ruling, here's the issue, how do you apply the law? But it does not teach you how to read people.
And what made you start posting communication tips online? What was your very first post?
I was just lonely, No, I'm kidding. I just left my law firm for like 10 years.
And your dad was at that law firm.
My dad was at that law firm.
Yeah, and he was disappointed. He was very disappointed in you that you left.
It was a very hard time. It's a very hard time to leave. If anybody has ever been in a family business, it adds another layer of complexity.
Oh, so was your dad's law firm?
No, it was not. But my dad had been there since he went to law school. I mean, when he graduated,
there, obviously, so
he was there for 35 years. And so and I could have gone to other law firms, but I really liked this law firm, even separate from him. A wonderful, wonderful people. He just did so many wonderful things, and I was like, that's a law firm I want to go to. So anyway, when I realized that I wanted to start my own law firm, those are very difficult conversations.
Right, because it's like, how do you leave the family business without leaving the family, right? I
Yeah.
mean, people can take it very personally.
Oh, and it was because my dad took it, not me leaving the firm, it was me leaving him.
Yeah.
And that was really rough.
Yeah.
And we had those difficult conversations. I did leave, and that was at the end of 21, beginning of January 22.
Middle of COVID.
Exactly, right. I started my own law firm, and it was just me. Like I went from having 2 different secretaries and a paralegal, wonderful office, to just myself and my laptop and a coffee shop. But I was having a blast, and it was wonderful. And I thought, well, I mean, we're young. I should be on social media. I mean, well, I should try and start talking about what I do. And I tried, and it didn't feel great. Because I felt like I was just selling myself. I wasn't helping anybody. And so I struggled with these questions of, what do I want my kids to see on social media if I'm gone? Like, what's going to be the legacy of what I want to leave with? And I thought, well, I'll teach them. I'll tell people what I feel I know better than anybody that I know in my circle, and that's how to communicate, how to argue, how to have difficult conversations with people. And so I Googled, how do you make a reel? And I got my phone, and then I started making videos by myself.
So what was the first one that went viral?
Ooh, I started a How to Argue Like a Lawyer series.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Which is funny because your book is argue less, talk more.
exactly. Yeah, that was the contrast there, which I think it was interesting for people. Is they see this attorney who, attorneys have their own reputation. Then it's this attorney saying, no, you need to speak with kindness. You need to have grace in conversation. The goal is not to win. And so I think there was this interest of, this is different. The fourth one that I did How to Argue Like a Lawyer Part 4. That was the one that went first viral.
And why? Like, what were you tapping into? Why did it go viral?
Beats me. I think
What was the topic of it?
The topic was how to not get defensive in an argument, not to take things personal in an argument, and then how cursing or cussing in conversation is like over seasoning your food. Like when somebody uses too much of it, it distracts from the message, and
Completely.
it actually tells people you're more emotional than you are rational in that moment. So people
And that never helps you, right? Whenever you appear emotional, I feel like
No,
it never
yeah.
helps you.
Well, especially in positions of leadership. If you want to be someone who's seen as steady, you have to be really careful of if you're always peppering your sentences, every other word, with an F-bomb right before it. It gets to where it doesn't mean anything. If you're going to use it at a time where
Yeah,
it really
drop it.
signals that this is important or really going to add some emphasis. But so that was the first one.
So it was how to not be defensive in an argument.
Yes.
And what was your advice for that?
You want to make sure that you don't focus on the other person, beginning your sentence with you. You always do this. You never do this.
Yeah.
Anytime you go to extremes, always and never, all you're doing is adding another argument about whether or not you always or never do it.
And you know what? I've dated so many guys that have done that, been like, "You're so selfish." I mean, they've said that to me. And I'm just like, you know what? You're making this personal. And it shouldn't be personal. It should be about like the thing at hand, the thing that happened.
Right.
And to me, it's like you lose all credibility when you make sweeping judgments against somebody's character like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when somebody starts to, if you attack somebody personally, instead of about the argument, I'm saying, you're such an idiot. You're so selfish.
Yeah.
You're so stupid. Whatever that is, all I have indicated is that I've lost. I'm losing. I don't have anything else to say. So you just go for the low-hanging fruit of just attacking someone's, usually it's their intelligence somehow or their character, because you have nothing left to say. So you're just like, you're stupid. And then it doesn't ever feel any good. But that was the first video.
So many people need that. You started your Instagram account in 2022, but you blew up really quickly. I mean, I think I discovered you, maybe like late 2022 or 23, but by then you already had millions of followers. So why do you think your content resonated with people? Like what are you tapping into?
I think it is this sense of, it's a guy in a car who's an attorney, and that's weird to begin with. And then my videos are very short and concise.
Yeah.
I learned by trial and error, because I would tweak videos to make like the first part longer, and then on another video I'd make the first part very short.
So you're like A/B testing.
Exactly. And I never even considered it, or I didn't even know there was such a thing called A/B testing. It was just me trying out different things. And I delivered the first, I Googled, what do you do in a reel? And they're like, well, you need to tell people what you're going to make a video about, and then you need to end with a hook. I thought, well, okay, I'll try it.
I love your hook, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You have to say it for everybody.
It's always, so you can try that and follow me.
And it's so cute the way
Thank you.
it's like it's so like pure and like wholehearted, and you got that southern accent. I just love it.
Well, thank you very much. I had no idea what I was doing. I looked at Google's results and I said, well, it said, you need to tell them what you want them to do. And I was like, well, I want them to try it.
Yeah.
And then I
follow
guess
me.
I'll tell them to follow me. And
I just love
I'll
it.
be doggone if they did. So I am just in a place where when I first started making the videos, I thought, well, make them really short and concise. I think people lose interest in followers at the very beginning because they'll make a video and go, okay, everybody, I get this question all the time. How do you do X, Y, and Z? And like, you've already lost them
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Number one, you probably haven't gotten any questions about it. You just want them to feel like you
Yeah.
have credibility and expertise in it. They don't care. They don't care. And so
Yeah, they just want to know the question.
exactly. Yeah. So
And that's like the first 10 seconds, right? You lose people after, or is it, they say 5 seconds? Or
less. Yeah.
5 seconds, you lose people.
I'd say probably in the first like 2 to 3 seconds, if you don't
Wow.
have something that's going to hold their interest, they're gone. And so I try to make a video of, the first thing might be how to handle people who interrupt you. And then that next slide, that next thing is going to be number one. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. And so I tried that out, and it worked really well. And I think I think that there was this component of nobody else was giving communication advice, at least not like this, to where I was
Yeah,
giving
not like
you
this. Yeah.
giving you exactly what to say. And then there was this feeling of, oh, I can do that. Like they would watch it and go, oh, I tried this, or I really could do this, instead of the speak with empathy, be an active listener, things that they don't really know what it means. But if I could say this, or flip how your sentence is structured, it's going to be better.
And that's why I'm so excited to speak with you today, because I mean, for me as an etiquette expert, I get a lot of questions and people want scripts.
Yes.
Right. So I'm always giving my students scripts like this is, they'll say, yeah, but then this happened. What should I say? Well, I said, well, you can say these 3 things as options, and people really take them and they use them.
Right.
And so today I'm going to get a bunch of scripts out of you today.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm excited.
But so in your book, you also talk about the 3 C's of communication, right? You say, say it with control, say it with confidence, say it to connect. What do each of those mean to you?
So each of those, say with control, say with confidence, say to connect, are pillars of communication. They are your essential elements of, if you can master all 3, if you can even touch each one of these in every conversation that you have, the communication will go better and the relationship will be better than if you did not have them. And the reason why I make them each essential, because if you don't say things with control, it doesn't matter how confident you are. It doesn't matter if you say it to connect. If you're not controlled, it's not going to happen. If I have control but I don't have the confidence, well, then I'm not going to say what I need to say. So you have to find a way to have each one of these components for it to go well. And if it did not go well, most likely one of those components went missing.
I feel that a lot of people actually, they lack the confidence. So like because a lot of my followers or my students will come to me and say, you know, I wanted to say that, but then I didn't say it. And so much of it is from the confidence.
Yeah, confidence is a huge part of communication, certainly a big part of life. And what I find people get, the biggest misconception about confidence is that it's something you have to have before the conversation. You have to have it before you say something. Like, I'm building up the confidence to say it. That's not it. It's the opposite. Confidence is the outcome. Confidence is what you get as a consequence of saying the assertive thing. So when you can say what you need to say, be assertive, use your assertive voice, the result is you feel more confident. In an exchange, you then feel more confident to say more assertive things. So confidence is a feeling that I don't think most people understand. So if you're listening right now, if you're listening to our conversation and I said, I need you to feel sad right at this moment. I just feel really sad. You'd have a really hard time doing that. Or if I said, be scared or be extremely happy right now, you can't just summon these things up. Like, they come from something. I mean, if you need to feel angry, you need somebody to kick you in your shin. Then you're like, now I feel angry, because it started from something. There was a trigger, there was a starting point, and there was a cause to create the effect. So if you want to feel more confident, it doesn't happen in the same way. Just feel confident right now. It starts from something, and that something is using your assertive voice.
Right. So it's maybe your tone, the pacing of how you speak, all these things. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I'd like for us to dive into communication across key relationships. So, you know, with your love partner, with friends and family, with coworkers, and with strangers. And because I feel that, I mean, those are kind of that's what makes up our social life and communication life. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there are very different ways to thinking about how we interact with each of them. So let's start off with your partner, right? Whether it's your husband, your wife, or whatever. In general, how should we think about how we communicate with our partners?
Very different than how you communicate with an acquaintance. And I'd say it's even harder, because these are people who know you. These are people who hopefully you love, people who hopefully love you. And when you have that layer of complexity to it, I would say the extremes are even more dynamic. So when it's low, it feels really low. When it's high, it feels really high. And if you and I are in a relationship, I know the things that are going to hurt you.
Oh yeah, the triggers. Yes.
And if I want to hurt you, I know exactly what button to press. Mm-hmm. It might be talking about your mom. It might be talking about your deepest insecurity of an appearance, or maybe, you know, the things that you are so self-conscious of that only that person knows. So that becomes very difficult. Or on the upside of it, the good communication is, on the good range, is that we can have a conversation that can go so deep and so for so long that we can hold each other's attention, and you feel like you are on cloud 9. You see people that are dating. the people you like the most are the people you can typically communicate the best
Yeah.
with. I mean, there are other external features, of course, but it's how the conversation went. Was it always engaging? Did you find this person interesting? Did you always have curiosity? Was there that feeling of, I want to continue to take another step and another step and another step in the conversation? Because really that's,
Right, you're deepening it. You know, it's like date 2, date 3, date 10. That
yeah.
Yeah.
I find that dating is just a really long conversation. It just
That
goes
is so
on.
true.
Yeah, and it just goes on for a really long time.
And the indicator of a good date is when it's been a long date.
Yeah.
Right? It's like if you go home early after a date, you know it's not good. It's not a
Yeah.
good date.
And you know pretty quickly if you're like, no, this has been great. Oh no, I'll text you later, bye. And you know it's not, you're ready to just get out of there.
So everybody must want to date you because you're such a good communicator.
That's not true. Not true at all. And I find that the people who you want to be around are the ones you don't want them to leave. Like, let's just keep talking.
Yes.
You've been on the phone late at night. You're like, you just don't want to hang up. You don't want to put it down. I want to continue to talk to this person. It is a very long conversation. And so that is a sign that you communicate really well. People who can communicate with you and be very direct, it's also very attractive. When people
when someone tells you what they want, like, but in a kind and with
Yes.
control, with confidence,
Yes.
etc.
Right.
It is very attractive.
Very, yeah. When people are more passive aggressive, or people who have a harder time voicing what they want, but yet still
Yeah.
expect you to just understand and expect you to know, you almost resent them for it, and they resent you. And when you have these unvoiced expectations, it's harder to continue the conversation. So when somebody can be very direct with you, and from a place of, I'm telling you this because I like you, I'm telling you this because this is what I need to say, it is a sense of, oh, well, thank you. Like, you almost a breath of fresh air when somebody is a good communicator who can voice their needs in a way that you think, wow, this person is somebody I can continue to talk with.
You know what's interesting? So I'm 39, and in my 20s, I was never good at voicing. I was not direct in relationships, and I just didn't go very deep in relationships, or I didn't have the confidence to be direct, to say what I wanted or to say what upset me. And in my late 20s and early 30s, and therapy was the best investment I ever made in myself, I became much more direct and confident. And I feel that I became more attractive, and I had more fulfilling relationships.
No doubt. I mean, and I'll tell you that when you feel more confident, it also spreads to everywhere else.
Yeah.
You feel like you can sit more confidently, you can talk more confidently, and in exchange, you get is a better life. And in exchange, what you are able to do is find better people, find better partners, find better connections, when you can all start with simply what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, I love that. So why do couples keep having the same fights, right? And how do you
Yeah.
disagree without it becoming a full-blown argument?
Oh, those are good ones. What I like to say is, if you haven't heard the end of it, you haven't heard the heart of it. Meaning, it's very easy when you and I, let's say we're in a fight or an argument, and we keep bringing up the same point over and over, and you continue to bring it up. What it's telling me is that I'm not hearing the real issue. You're only giving me the surface of the issue. I'm not getting to the deep. It's typically a deep need, a deep insecurity that I am not being forthcoming about. So whenever you have those, they're cyclical. It's always about the same certain thing. It's usually, like, if you want to say, I don't know, let's say you want a joint bank account. I don't know, let's just put it like that. And I don't want one. All right? And we just continue to argue about this. Typically, it's not the bank account. It's a fear.
Like a lack of security.
Yes, of I don't want to be relying on someone. Now I have this deeper fear of, well, I've always been independent. Now I have this further, deeper need of protecting myself. And it's like this, I don't want to share myself. It is like the further you go peel back the onion and the layers, you find that's the heart of the matter that they're just not voicing. So you're only hearing the surface, you're not hearing the depth of that conversation. So a lot of times couples find they argue about the same thing because the person whom has the problem, like if you're trying to pull it from someone, it typically doesn't go well. You need them to be able to give it to you. And that is from a position of not you saying things that are like, I just don't understand. I don't get, because typically you haven't been patient enough to ask the right question. You're only searching for the right answer. You're not searching for the right question.
So what is the right question?
Oh, it depends on the context.
So let's say in this context, like the one you just gave, which is one person wants a joint bank account, the other person doesn't.
Yeah.
And they're kind of at an impasse. What would be a good question?
Number one would be, don't begin your question with why. Why don't you want to? Oh. Because what you want to feel like is because I said so. That's why. Because I don't want to. That's why. Like why can come across very accusatory.
Okay, it's like almost demanding that you justify yourself somehow.
Yes. Why typically in intimate conversations and difficult conversations, why comes across as I disagree with you and you need to prove it to me. That's what that kind of indicates. And as if you're challenging my autonomy to make that decision. And instead, when you can switch it to asking what or how, it's going to lead to a better outcome. So instead of why don't you want to do this? When I ask this, how do you hear that? Or how does that make you feel?
No, those are great. I'm going to practice these on my husband.
Don't say you got them from me. Yeah. But
He's going to thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, when you can say that it's the what do you feel? How do you feel? It sounds kind of woo-woo. It's not. It's going to give you a much better answer than why don't you just do what I ask you to do? Like that kind of thing is never going to.
Or when you say like, okay, tell me more, I kind of like one of those tips of yours.
Yeah.
And I feel that if you see your partner being triggered by something you said, and if you have the ability to know how to de-escalate it, that is one of the most powerful skills you can bring to a relationship. And I think that's also why Benny Blanco is blowing up right now. Have you been following that?
He's with
Selena Gomez's fiance. Have you? I mean, he's all over my For You feed.
Well, I can tell you, I know very little of celebrity pop culture. But,
you're so wholesome.
But I do know Benny because of his music.
Right.
And so I'm big on that. And then also talk about the craziest couple ever of those two together. But you listen, yes, it's on my For You page all the time now with this stuff. And of course, it's not until he starts talking about how he's asking the right questions and de-escalating. When somebody can understand you and be almost your whisperer in a way of like knowing the right things that are going to calm you instead of continue to burn your fire, like that, all you say to yourself is, this is someone I can be safe with. And
so you know, for Selena, it's like she finally found someone she can be safe with. Because I feel like I mean, if my husband understood English, I would send him the clips of interviews of Benny Blanco, because he says things like, yeah, you know, when I see Selena getting upset, I'll say, okay, you know, let's not let it get there. Like, let's talk about this. Or, okay, maybe I was being a little bit stupid. Like, those are the things he uses to de-escalate. And the great thing is I love looking at the comments. And all the comments are like, Selena, I get it. I get why you chose him. Like,
it's all
like,
women.
Yeah. And they're like, this is what we need in a man. Somebody who is present, who makes you feel safe, and who is, you know, a good communicator.
Yeah, the person who de-escalates you it's like another sign of someone who goes, can I talk to them? Can they build me up and at the same time calm me down?
So one thing my husband does, and I have to preface by saying he's an incredible communicator, very patient with me. When I trigger him and if we're on the phone, he'll just hang up. And it used to really bother me. But then, so what I did was I waited, you know, on a day when we were just like walking or we were both calm. And I said, you know, when you do this and you hang up and then I call you and you don't pick up or you decline, it really gives me a sense of insecurity and makes me, and it really hurts me, right? So I just talked about how it made me feel. I didn't say like, oh, you always do this or blah, blah, blah. He'd done it a couple of times. I wanted to understand. I said, can you help me understand what is going through your mind when you do that? And he said, well, I hang up because I'm getting triggered and I don't want to say something I'm going to regret. So my way of stopping myself is by hanging up. And I was like, okay. And actually that helped me understand it better. So now I'm just like, okay, well, he's going to hang up and I know he'll call me like later on in the day when he's ready to talk. But what advice would you have for me in that situation? What would Jefferson say?
And you said he doesn't know English, right? You said?
Yeah, but it's I can translate.
Yeah, I want to make sure don't make him mad. Well, there is, I have seen a lot of time in communication, especially on the phone. That's really hard because you're only hearing somebody's voice. You can't see their face. It's even more nuanced in text when you're further removed, but at least on the phone you can hear somebody's voice. You just can't see their facial expressions. This is one I want to give you props for saying how it made you feel.
But it took me I had to like actively think about it, you know, and then it took me probably a couple months into the relationship where I was finally like, I want to know what's going on.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that's
I mean, I am an etiquette expert. I was like, I just have to apply what I tell my students to my life.
Right. Easier said than done, right? Yeah. I know that people hanging up on the phone everybody has done it, and everybody knows someone who does.
That's true.
And it is simply a sense of their fight or flight in that moment. Instead of fighting and saying the hurtful word to hurt you and fight you, it's the flight. We want to leave the room. We want to hang up the phone. Your body says, this is threatening. Right? He said, I feel triggered, and my body needs to get out of it. Now, what he needs to do is voice that in real time. So we can talk, what would be some recommendations? Before we do, I want to say, great job of communicating that. If anybody is the type that hangs up on the phone, most likely what you're doing as a consequence of that is the person on the other line feels more alone. Yeah. And that in turn triggers abandonment issues when somebody feels like you are leaving me.
Luckily for him, I don't have abandonment issues.
There you go. That's wonderful.
I've dated plenty of men who have.
Yeah.
But it's true. If I had abandonment issues, like I would go haywire. We wouldn't have gotten married.
Right. Well, I'm sure, because it makes you feel in that moment like you're doing it all alone. Mm-hmm. It is the same thing of leaving the room. You've now left the person in the room. They're still on the line, and now there's nobody there, and they're by themselves. And that is, I'm going to use this word, corrosive, meaning it may not be that big of a deal the first time. It will be the second. It will be the third if you continue to make a pattern of it. Now, how do you say for him, how do you voice that? Now, he told you the right thing was, it makes me feel triggered. What can he do to not do that again? Is use the phrase, I can tell.
I can tell?
I can tell, okay? And this would be saying, I can tell that's upsetting me. I can tell I'm getting defensive. I can tell I'm getting frustrated. I can tell this isn't going well for me. I can tell this is getting difficult. Anytime you can say that, it's saying it rather than acting on it. It's this idea that I talk about, which is when you claim it, you can control it. So let's say you and I are in a heated argument, and I'm starting to get defensive. There's a difference between me saying, that's not true. That's not what I did. That's not what I said. And getting defensive. I'm raising my voice. I'm acting on the feeling. Versus you saying the same thing, and I'm going, I can tell I'm getting defensive. I can tell that's making me defensive. As soon as I say that, it's like me writing on a piece of paper and then just putting it on the table for you to see it, rather than me acting on it. And that, when I act on it, it's not helpful. But when I say it out loud, you're going to go, oh, okay, now you're reading the same piece of paper, and now you know where I'm going. So if he could just say in the conversation, I can tell that's making me defensive. Now you're not going to keep pressing that same button. Now you're going to know, I mean, you could. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to, if you keep pressing him into the corner, then he is going to probably hang up or whatever his defensive mechanism is. But when he says, I can tell, that's going to cue you in to make sure you're not trapping him. Like, when you have somebody in conversation and you keep pressing and keep pressing.
Yeah. And you know when you're pressing. Huh?
Yeah, of course you do. And sometimes that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But just realize when you're doing that, they're going to feel more cornered, more trapped. They're not going to be any more likely to do what you want or listen to you or accept your point of view.
Thank you, Jefferson. This is brilliant. I mean, prior to receiving your advice, I would just focus on myself and making sure I wouldn't trigger him. But I'm going to clip this section, add Chinese subtitles, and send it to my husband.
Oh, yeah. Okay, awesome.
Okay, so moving on to friends and family. What is the overall approach to communicating with friends and family, especially when emotions run high? And I do feel that for friends and family, they also know family especially, they also know how to push your buttons.
Yeah.
So maybe it is somewhat similar to partner.
Right.
But what are some other things we should think about here?
Whenever you're talking to family members, again, there's that layer of love. Maybe not. I mean, that you're stuck with these people, you're close friends. Here is a phrase that I've seen go wrong, and it is using the word but in the wrong place. So let's say we've been best friends forever. And I say, look, I love you, but you're driving me crazy, or this is never going to work, or this is Whenever that happens, you just erased the I love you. You've erased it. The but in a sentence has a way of just deleting everything that comes before it. Like, for example, if I was like, this is a wonderful podcast. No, I really like this. This studio is great. And I just decided like that. I just decided to say something else. It doesn't matter what I say. I've just erased everything around it. This is a great proposal. But what I'm thinking is you just took away from it. Instead, you want to use the word and.
Mm-hmm.
And builds onto sentences. So in an everyday conversation or with somebody you're related with, if you can prime the conversation with, I'm telling you this because I love you. I'm telling you this because I care. I'm telling you this because you're my best friend. And then you say the hard thing, it's going to go a whole lot better than, listen, we've been great friends forever and you're just wonderful. But it's like when somebody has to break up with somebody. It's like, look, you're great. I think you're wonderful. And the person on the other end is just waiting for the but.
They're waiting for the but. Whereas if you said you're wonderful, you're great, and I think we should be friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I think you're wonderful.
That's a new breakup line, people.
Yeah. Exactly. I think you're wonderful. I think you're great, and I know that life is pushing us in other directions. I mean, just whatever it is.
Yeah. It just sounds nicer.
Yeah, because you're not taking away from what's happening.
And you know what's funny? A lot of people come up to me and they say, Sara, I wish I don't have good etiquette because I'm too honest. And I'm like, what? Like, since what?
I'm too perfect.
What
does that mean?
Or they'll be like, oh, I have really bad etiquette because I'm not good at lying. And it's like, wait, okay, this person has no idea what the spirit of etiquette means. But I often just say, it's more about how you say things. Uh-huh. And with etiquette, you can still absolutely say what you mean and mean what you say. It's just about the delivery, right? And so saying the and instead of the but is such a powerful tip to use.
Yeah, and it's very small. It's very small. Very, very small, but it's a big, big change, especially if you're giving feedback to somebody or criticism to somebody. It doesn't take away of what they have. Well, I'm very curious, what do you consider to be the spirit of etiquette?
I always say etiquette is about putting people around you at ease.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And etiquette, it's contextual. So I could do something in America and then do something in China, and it would be interpreted in a very different way. So it could be something as simple as, let's say I'm drinking a bowl of soup. Well, if you're in China or Japan, you want to have a little slurp. You want to do the little, because it shows that it's tasty. Whereas if you do that in France or England or in the US, that would be very rude.
In the South, in Texas, I think we'd be okay.
With a little slurp?
We'd be okay with a little slurp. There's nothing wrong with it.
This is why I was formerly a Southern gal.
I'm telling you.
I believe this.
Come on to Texas. It's a lot of the same. Very, very similar. How cool. Making other people around you at ease. I like that.
Yeah, that to me is what etiquette is really about. How do you set boundaries without guilt and respond when someone criticizes your choices or crosses a line, which is what relatives love to do?
Yes, they do. One is no is a complete sentence. So if you need to say no, that's all you need to say.
I feel a lot of my female girlfriends, for a lot of women, it's hard to have no as a complete sentence. We often feel like we need to justify things like no because. Right. But for men, it's just, somehow men are just like no.
Well, it's a little bit different probably in gender because, lots of reasons. But
and let's try not to get canceled in the process, right?
Yeah, no Chinese subtitles for that. So number one would be no is a complete sentence if you need it. Two is no justifications. Whenever you need to lay a boundary, we like to try to make the other person feel comfortable with it because we don't want them to be disappointed. We don't want them to not like us. But typically when you add the justification, it just makes it weaker. And for example, let's say I need to lay a boundary about something and I need to say, I don't respond to these kind of comments. And if you continue to say these kind of comments, this is going to be the end of the conversation. Let's say in this interview.
And your delivery, by the way, is just so sweet.
It's etiquette. It's
exactly.
Just etiquette. That's what we're all about. Like in this, if this was like an interview, I'd say I don't respond to those kind of questions. But if you keep asking me those kind of questions, it's the end of the interview.
Well, you know what I do in if it were an interview?
Yeah.
I would just respond with a completely different answer.
Oh,
Like it's
that's
just
also
not.
good.
Yeah, that'd be my tack.
Respond what you want to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Just forget the question and
Yeah.
say what you want to say. I find when people say their boundary and they'll say, look, I don't respond to those kind of questions. I mean, I just feel like, when somebody asks me these and I try to just start watering it down, I try to justify. It's the same thing with trying to tell somebody no to maybe they invited you to dinner or to that networking event. And you say, no, I can't because I am so overwhelmed right now. And, I need to go feed my cat and I need to water my yard. And I've just been, so stressed lately. And the more you say, the more the other person is just thinking, just tell me no. Like if you're making so many excuses, I can just tell you're not wanting to do this. Where being direct would be more kind. Well, in boundaries, it works the same way. It waters down your boundary. And the person that is most disappointed with your boundary is probably the person who's taking most advantage of it. And what I like to say is if your boundary, just because it makes somebody upset does not mean it's wrong. It just means that it's working. And so a lot of people need to assert more boundaries, not in the sense that all you do is put walls around yourself, but it's about feeling the effect of what just your voice alone can do and change in your life.
Well, let's do a little role play around friends and family. And we're going to call it What Would Jefferson Say?
Uh-oh.
So this is the awkward family edition. And scenario one is the unsolicited parenting advice. And by the way, all this is based on questions a lot of my etiquette students or etiquette followers have asked me. Okay. So scenario one, the unsolicited parenting advice, where, maybe a relative says something, you say, we're doing what works for our family. And the relative says, well, back in my day, we didn't let kids have so much screen time. No wonder kids these days are so spoiled. And you're sitting there being like, I appreciate your perspective, but Jefferson, how do you respond without blowing up or giving in?
I would say exactly what you said, just take out the word but.
Right.
I would just say,
I appreciate your perspective, full stop.
Full stop. I appreciate your thoughts, or thank you for that, or thank you for your feedback. When you have very neutral, short statements, they can't do anything with it. Like the shorter, what I even teach my own clients when they answer questions.
In a court.
Is the longer answer you give, the more questions you're going to get back.
Right, because you're giving them ammunition.
You're giving them more rope to make a knot with. So you just need to make it very, very short to where they can't do anything with it. So if I say, interesting. Like sometimes we are great at the nonverbal things or you're not really making words. You go, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, people can't argue with a huh.
No, yeah.
They're trying to think of how they should even interpret a huh.
Right. And there's a lot of ways to
What are some of your favorite ways to huh? Tell us.
Oh, if you
what are
just
the
go,
different huhs?
Well, my dad likes this one. Like that right there.
Like
is
a little,
just my...
like a short, what is that? That's giving me, I'm trying to think what vibes that,
Yeah.
It's like I'm not buying it kind of vibe.
It's also a good to know. Is how I
good to
use
know.
it.
Yes, a good to know, huh?
It's more of like a good to know. Or if somebody's asking me something and I don't really necessarily agree with it, but they're wanting to just give me their opinion on how I should agree with it, it might be a like just one of those, like
Yes.
okay, all right, yeah, just simple as that. But anytime you say, let's put it in verbal context, if somebody gives you that unsolicited feedback or advice, there's nothing wrong with just a thank you, period. That's all you need to do, because right then, what is their whole point in giving it to you? One is they're controlling and they have their own control problems because you're not doing what they think you should be doing, because it's not what they would do. Two, it's maybe because you are taking it defensively and they're actually honestly trying to give valuable advice, at least what they think it is. Maybe it comes from a genuine position, so that you can't do anything wrong with just a simple thank you. Where you get in trouble is, thank you, but I like how I do it. Thank you very much. Like whenever you have that very passive...
I feel a lot of Americans like to do that. The kind of, thank you, but I'm going to get canceled by Americans, but...
No, you're good. You can do a lot of things before that happens. Don't worry.
So the way because I'm a real prankster, the way I like to
prankster.
respond to these things is if let's say that relative's like saying, no wonder the kids these days are spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say something like, yeah, well, either they're on the screen or you and I are not able to have an adult conversation because they're jumping all over us.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could say, yeah, if we had just stone tablets like you, I'm sure we'd be bored real quick. If you want to just totally rip them, there is a sense of what is the value of your time, and how much space does this person take up? What's their worth to you? If they don't mean that much, give very little back.
Yes. And the older I get, the more I think about that. My time is so valuable. I'm not going to give people who don't deserve it my time or attention.
Yeah.
Okay, scenario 2. The when are you having kids question, right? So your relative says, so when are you finally having a baby? You're not getting any younger. And you're sitting there being like, well, we're just kind of enjoying life right now. And the relative says, well, don't wait too long. Family is everything. What would Jefferson say?
Ooh, okay. Let's say between somebody who's an acquaintance. Did you say who this person was?
Yeah, it could be a relative. It could be a friend. Sometimes your parents. In China, it's your parents are like, when you're studying, they're like, don't date. And then the day you graduate, they're like, why are you not married?
Oh, that's very culturally
That's China.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, also close to the South.
Oh,
Let's say,
see, we are, yes, our cultures are one and
we're
the
pretty
same.
much the same thing.
One and the same.
You graduate high school, go get married. Yep. No, I think that it depends who is asking. So if it's an acquaintance or somebody,
No, let's do friends and family because we're in the friends and family section.
Let's do friends. Okay, friends and family section. I would ask them. Well, here's 2 different techniques we could do.
Okay.
One, if you feel very confident in that moment, you could say when I decide, or when I'm ready.
Yeah, when I'm ready. Yeah, when I decide.
When I decide, when I'm ready, or I get to choose. Anything that allows them
I get to choose. Love that.
Anytime you just remind them that.
Yeah, it's my body.
Exactly. When I want to. When I want to. Or you can even, this is a little bit different with acquaintance or friends or family, is if you ask them the question of not why, or it could say what. So what does it mean to you? Or
because then you maybe want to further understand it because then maybe your parents are like, we want to have grandkids or.
Yeah, or what makes you ask?
Yeah. That is a great. I'm gonna use. What makes you ask? I'm gonna use that.
And so a lot of the time, you find that it's a deeper. To just go. I was just curious. So I just want to know. So right now, all you're doing, like the technique here, let's get through all the fluff of where you are, the context of the person, like the matrix of the conversation. Is what you're doing is you're getting unsolicited question that probably has some kind of undertone to it. All right, great. So all that means is you need to grab it and kind of toss it away. And so when you say, what makes you ask? Now that original question has been deleted. Now you're getting a different set. It's like you asking for a different set of pins in bowling. Now they're going to say something like, well, I was just curious, in my family we do X, Y, and Z. Or whenever you get that answer, address that answer because it'll typically come from a place of them caring or they've just...
It's their own personal experience, right? They bring their own personal experiences into it.
Exactly.
Okay. What about scenario 3? And so many people have asked me this. The friend who never pays you back. So you're out to dinner again, the check comes, they forget again. So Jefferson, how do you confront a repeat offender without sounding petty or blowing up a friendship?
I just wouldn't eat with them.
Absolutely. That actually is what I've said in the past. Just don't eat with them again. Why do you keep subjecting yourself to this? Because it's a choice. Like when I have friends who come to me saying, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe what my friend did to me again," blah blah blah. It's like, well, you are actually letting her do that to you.
It's that what's that parable or the story of the scorpion and the frog? It's like it's just the nature of a scorpion to sting. Like there are certain animals that have their nature to do certain things. You don't be surprised when a snapping turtle snaps. Like there's not.
Is this a Southern story?
I don't think
we didn't get this in China growing up.
Hey, the scorpion and the frog thing's a real thing. All right, I promise you. And look it up. You can look it up, Google it, whoever's listening. And it's just the whole end of the story. The moral of the story is you cannot be surprised when it's somebody's nature and they behave the way that their nature has created them to be. And so if somebody is never paying somebody back, they always flake, they always never live up to their side. That is their nature.
Yeah.
So if you're going to invite them to dinner,
your eyes wide open.
Then you should know I'm going to be paying for this. If I want to join in this experience, this is the cost of that relationship. And so instead of why can't we just split the meal 50-50 and have this awkward thing at the end where they say, oh, I forgot my wallet or I can't, whatever. You have to know in your head, this is the cost of this relationship to me. And if I don't want that, I just text them. You don't have to eat with them.
All right. What about coworkers? What is your overall approach to communicating with coworkers?
I find that people who you're working with, they're not your family as much as you want them to be. And sometimes they're your person in the storm. You can get
It's like
really...
in Severance, right? Have you been watching Severance?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
But
it's good.
Is it? Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's dark, but it's okay.
Okay. Oh, all right. I'm learning a lot about this etiquette life. It's the same thing with any difficult conversation. Whenever you have two people that are going through a common goal, they get closer. When you have you talk about the same thing, you communicate about the same thing, you are working towards a common objective, you typically talk bad about the same people.
Yeah, your
right?
boss.
Yeah, you talk bad. Can you believe this? Somebody, and you're like, did you see what she's wearing? Like it's like, oh, this coffee is really bad in here. You find ways of communicating with the person, whether it's by complaining. Complaining is often or gossiping about people is a very communal thing. It's like it's bonding. Well, how do you handle, let's say, a lot of different topics we could go with coworkers. Let's put it in gossip, because I think that could be that tends to be a pretty common thing. When you're in the office and somebody is gossiping about someone. And mind you, the person this coworker is not like your bestie.
Yeah, not your bestie.
Not your bestie.
Yep, not to be trusted.
And because if it is your bestie, go for it. Say all the things you want to say.
Yeah.
But let's say it's a very nosy coworker and they're gossiping about somebody and you don't know how to handle it because you don't want to really get into it. Here is what I would suggest. Is you go, I don't know, I'll ask them.
Oh, yes.
So
because then they'll be like, no, don't go ask them. Yes.
Yeah. So you could even say, I don't know, I'll ask them. Like, it has such an immediate effect of like, no, we're good. Or you could flip it and say, I don't know, have you asked them? And they'll typically go, no, and they'll keep talking about it. As long as you're saying that, or just a simple, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. You're not engaging in it. You're not feeding the fire. Right. You're going to realize, I can't go anywhere with this person. I will find someone else to vent to.
Although I do think sometimes it is valuable to be aware of office gossip.
Yeah.
Because it is like intelligence, right? But I did...
Sometimes.
But I did prepare a couple other scenarios that I just thought of. Okay. About how to navigate workplace tension. And one of them is the passive-aggressive emailer. Right? Where they're sending vague jabs disguised as politeness, using phrases like, per my last email, and just to clarify, which I find myself using them too sometimes.
I've seen lots of memes about these of like somebody is saying per my last email means like look at my email.
Yeah, exactly.
Idiot. Like there's ways of trying to send that.
I mean, what would be a nicer way than to say per my last email? Because it's you're typing it, right? So there's some things that are like when you write something, it's different communication than saying something face to face.
No doubt.
Is it better to say like, please take a look at my last email dated March 1st?
Well, let's talk about it. Let's etiquette this out. You could, in a sense, just forward the email to them.
Like I've attached the email from March 1st.
You could, instead of the per my last email, you could just forward it to them.
Yeah, and then say, did you see this?
Yeah, or you could put this friendly at just putting this at the top.
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll do that. Like I'll say bumping this up to the top of your inbox.
Yeah, or you could have a simple. If they're like, hey, have you blah 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 blah, and you've already answered this, you could just forward it to them. Like to me, I don't find that being.
You don't get offended, right? Great.
I'm not. No, there's some
I'll
people
email you next time.
There's some people who would, or even if you just give like a simple yes or a no, and you forward that or attach that last email, great. It's the per my last email type of thing that has become so. I think the first time people typed it, no problem, but now it's become so part of culture to make it a much more passive thing.
Right.
But let's say they don't send all of that. Let's just put it as they send a snarky email.
Yeah, which people do.
Oh yeah, people do, and they have it.
Sometimes I want to, but I stop myself.
Yeah,
sometimes
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
No, I think that there are ways here's how I would handle somebody who gives passive aggressive comments at work is you ask the question, should I read into that? Or did you mean? So let's say I'm talking with you and I'm sitting in your office. Let's just put it in face to face real quick. So, and you have a comment that makes me go, I feel like that was I felt like that was a jab. If you feel that, you can ask the question, should I read into that comment?
Yeah, that's great because the way you're saying is neutral. The way you're saying
Yes.
it's from the heart,
Right.
and it's more like a confused or curious as opposed to accusatory.
Exactly. Or I love this question phrasing because it works with a lot of different things, is beginning with, did you mean? Did you mean for that to come across short? Did you mean to sound upset?
Did you mean to be passive aggressive?
Yeah,
Maybe not. Yeah, we'll strike that one off.
Yeah. You don't
Okay.
but if you said something as simple as, did you mean to sound upset?
Yes, that's
All right.
great because
Most likely the response you're going to get is, oh, no.
that's true.
No, I was doing this, and they'll justify or explain more, because sometimes, especially in email, we read the negative. In text message, we hardly ever read the positive into someone's words. We read the negative. We love the negative. So if I just responded to your text, okay, you're going to go, what kind of okay is
Oh yeah,
that?
for Gen Z, that gives them like anxiety attacks now.
Is that right? I have
Yeah.
no clue. Well, if you have this just okay, it's usually okay, like it's just the worst possible thing, because you can't do anything with it. You don't know how to read into that. So typically we read the negative. Okay, I guess you're upset with me. I guess you hate me.
What about the credit stealer, the person who takes credit for group work or reframes your ideas as their own in front of the boss? What should you confront them, or should you find a way to get it back to the boss that they're a credit stealer?
Yeah, so what I would do is, I don't think I've ever been asked this. I wouldn't do it right then and there and go, that's my idea in front of the boss. Then that makes you look
Bad.
needy.
Yes, needy and yeah.
Yeah, so what I would do is talk to that person after the meeting and begin with it. Did you mean to give them my idea?
That's great. Did you mean to? I'm just loving this.
Yes.
Did you mean to? I need to find
It's great.
ways I can use this more. Yes. Did you mean to, take credit for my idea or to give, yes.
Right. So did you mean to take the credit for my idea, or not? Or you can say, did you mean to not mention my name in that idea?
Right.
So because you're really getting strategic. Did you mean to not bring up my name when you mentioned that? The response you're going to get most likely is oh no, I totally forgot. They're not going to go, yes, I.
Okay, then what would you say to that? We say, then can you please tell,
Do you mind?
do you mind telling the boss, or?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you mind adding my name?
Exactly. So then I would make the ask for it. Then would it be a bad time for us to do X, Y, and Z? Or would you mind raising that the next time we talk about this? Or do you mind sending an email? Now, whatever that is, you're saying, then I would love to have you add the mention, or it would mean a lot to me if you added the mention to
and then they
X, Y,
fix
and
it.
Z. Mm-hmm.
What about the micromanager, right? Your boss who doesn't trust you to do your job. They hover, they overcorrect, they nitpick unnecessarily.
So that's a symptom of them, not you.
Yep.
And there's not much you can physically, verbally do to just change somebody's behavior, because you can really only control what you can. So how do you manage somebody who's...
Yeah, you're really just managing it.
Yeah. This is what comes to mind, at least right now, is if I can communicate with them to give me one little thing, give me one thing that is my own. And once you complete that task, show them that you can complete another more. And it's best to have these in little bitty conversations to where you have complete autonomy over something. And you never want to make it like, what I compare micromanaging to is somebody is feeling like they are on the elevator and they feel like the elevator is going to burst out from them. So they want to press every floor. They want to check every little thing that you're doing because they're afraid something's going to get dropped. And it's, again, it's a fear within themselves, not of you. So if you can, in conversation, try to say, I would love to have full autonomy over this little thing, or make that suggestion. And if if I can reach that, then I'd like a little bit more. It depends on context, but that's the mindset you want to go into.
Let's move on to strangers and the art of winning people over. There's the age-old question, is it better to be liked or to be respected?
Oh,
What's your take?
better to be liked, because the person who is liked will naturally get more respect. And it lasts a lot longer. The people who like you or people who want to do things with you, for you, together, I find that if you can make people want to be around you, then you're going to get more people who want to do things willingly rather than out of fear.
I agree with you, except maybe in a work setting, right? Because when you have strong relationships and goodwill, people are motivated to work for you. But if you come across as competent, then when people respect you for your competence, I feel that is also a very lasting influence. I mean, you hear about bosses who are just terrible human beings, but everybody wants to work for them.
And then nobody's
nobody
sad
likes
when
them.
they die. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave? And I think there's a difference too of somebody who's competent and they're resilient and all these other wonderful things that you can absolutely be respected. I can be liked and be respected.
You absolutely. I mean, the ideal is to be both. So if we want to be liked, in terms of first impressions, how do we gain instant trust?
One would be smile a lot.
I always say that, eye contact and smile.
Yeah, eye contact and smile. And for people who have trouble with eye contact, a little trick is to end your sentences looking at their eyes rather than feeling like you have to stare at their eyes the whole entire time. 2 is pace your conversation, so slow it down. What you're wanting to do is make it very calm and easy for them to be around you and want to listen to you. So I like to compare it to listening to different types of music. So again, because remember the music thing.
Yeah.
So think of the people you like to be around and apply a song to their personality.
Wow, this
Or
is
a
getting
band.
very technical. Okay.
Like a
Apply
band to their
okay.
Yeah, there's some people who are make you anxious because everything that they do is like a high energy rock music where it's just always crazy. There are other people who are easy listening where it's a lot slower, where you go, oh, I could put this on and listen to it all day. There are just different types of wavelengths and frequencies that we just enjoy hearing.
Yeah.
So if you want to, it's like the same type of people that you go, they just feel really warm.
Yes.
How do you explain that to people that just feel warm?
So tell us about some of your trial tactics, right? How does body language and speech affect strangers, and how do you establish yourself as a truth teller? Because I feel like you have to do that in your job every day in front of juries, right? What do juries teach us about human nature?
What to do, what not to do. I find that trial attorneys, we want to persuade a jury to find a favor for my client. Now, there are limitations because I can only argue the facts that I'm given. I can't choose my facts. And I have to argue within the law. I can't choose what law applies. So when I am getting information, I'm wanting to make a point to somebody, it's very crucial that I am very concise. So good trial attorneys, you take 40 pages and you turn it into 2 sentences. And so same thing with my content. I could talk way longer than 47 seconds or 30 seconds. You have to find ways to make it really concise, to just the essentials of what matters. And how does that translate? It means when you're in conversations, especially difficult conversations, the less you say, the more you mean. It's this idea of the more words it takes to tell the truth, the more it sounds like a lie. Or you say something, the more it sounds like you don't know enough about it. So when you have to give information to somebody or respond, you want to keep your sentences very short and very concise. It's much, much better. I like to term it as, instead of being a waterfall of information, you want to be a well, to where they always find they just want a little bit more at a time.
And you know what? I can actually think of people that I know who are, people who are wells and people who are waterfalls. I think I'm gonna use that to distinguish between friends now.
Oh, cool.
I love it. And then how about using voice and vulnerability to persuade?
Voice and vulnerability.
Yeah. Because you talk about how you use that in your courtroom.
Mm-hmm. The people who talk fast are the people who are typically not listened to in a courtroom. because it's very hard to keep up with them. You have a lot of different people who have different styles. And when I can slow my words down, especially on important points, the more they're going to be remembered. At the end of the day, that's what I want these 12 people to do. Remember, when they go back to deliberations and it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks of trial, I'm going to need them to remember certain things, and other times they won't. So if I can slow my words down, they have more
weight,
punch. Like there's a difference between me saying, I already told you I'm not going to do that, versus I already told you I'm not going to do that. Like which one has more weight to it? Which one shows I'm more in control? I have more confidence. I have more weight in the conversation that I'm not going to be moved. It's always the second one.
And what about vulnerability?
Yeah, vulnerability is wonderful in conversation because it naturally removes people's defenses. If I can tell you before I'm having a conversation that I'm feeling nervous about it, you're not going to get upset or like nervous. How dare you? It's like, oh no, it's okay. We can talk. What's going on?
The other person want to protect you.
Yeah, we now want to almost kind of take your hand in the conversation. No, I'm listening. So there's a guy who I have not had a trial against him, but I've seen him, and he is not a guy who's very tall and are big. He's a smaller guy, and in trial, he gets very nervous in front of other people, which is very weird as a trial attorney, but it happens. And
why did he choose to go into this profession?
Because he's passionate about advocating for people. I mean, it's the justice element. It's wanting to help people for the right reasons. And he does such a masterful job when he's in the courtroom. He'll tell the jury, he'll go, now just so you know, I get a little nervous in front of people talking.
So cute.
And that's what every person in the jury thinks right there. Okay. And you know what they do? They go, I love this person. Forget the case. I don't care. Your client wins. Like that's what happens. If they don't like the attorney, they're not going to like the client. If they don't like the attorney, you're going to lose. They're not going to find in favor of somebody that they don't like, and they will find reasons for that. But when he starts to kind of stutter and say, I get nervous, but I'm gonna represent my client. Like everybody in the courtroom just goes,
it's like a hero, yeah.
Just take the money. Like everybody just loves the guy. And so, but that's what happens every day. Somebody who's nervous in conversation, we root for them. We want to see them succeed. And so being vulnerable is very much a strength. When you can tell someone how you're feeling in that moment, or you're telling someone, you know,
I'm not perfect.
Exactly,
right?
because perfection's not relatable.
Yep.
Vulnerability, struggles are. So when you can tell someone what you're struggling with, so the takeaway here, if I tell somebody, I'm struggling to find the words to say this, or I'm struggling to control my nerves right now.
Yeah.
You are just showing a little bit of yourself to make them feel, oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to take your hand in that conversation, and it's going to go better.
And you can apply this to anything, to love, to career, to friends, to strangers.
As long as you're not doing passively of like, I struggle to understand how you could possibly, like you don't want to use that. That's not the kind of struggle we're after.
So my favorite quote of yours is that smart people never win arguments because you lose the relationship.
Yeah, when you set out to win an argument, you will often lose the relationship. It is this idea that you can, if you set out to win every argument, all you do is win their contempt. You've won to be the first to apologize, most likely. And you lose their confidence, you lose their trust, you lose their respect, the connection. It's this idea that you can still win an argument and still be wrong. It does nothing. It does nothing. And so when you start to pull your way and I start to pull mine, all we do is make the knot tighter. It makes it harder to undo. And it takes longer for us to undo the knot. So instead of seeing arguments as something to win, I want you to see them as something to unravel. Because it's all that it is. Arguments are just a window into somebody's struggle in that moment. What are they truly struggling with? And if you just keep tugging and I just keep tugging, it takes a very long time to undo that knot. If I can be quick to apologize, well, it's very easy to looson that knot.
Yeah, again, de-escalation.
Yeah, but the harder I squeeze onto that apology, and I'm never going to give it from you, it'll take 2 weeks, it'll take 6 months, it'll take a year before we undo that knot to have an actual conversation again.
Yeah, I love that analogy. And I feel that when we think of them as difficult conversations instead of arguments, if we know how to handle them well, it actually is an opportunity to deepen a relationship. Like when I think about the relationships I've been in, usually after you have that difficult conversation, then you come away thinking, oh, I have more of a connection.
Absolutely.
With that other
Because you've
person.
been through the difficult with them. Like
Yeah.
you've been through the hard stuff, the
Yes.
ones you are.
And that's meaningful.
It's super meaningful because you created bonding in the struggle together. It's this idea that the deeper connection you want to have with somebody, then the deeper tolerance you must have for difficult conversation. It's if you've only had surface level conversations, you're gonna have a surface level
Exactly.
relationship.
Yeah.
And the people that are able to go deep with you on something, even when it's hard, even when you're tearing up and sometimes you yell and you've experienced that, because that means I'm still here even when you're showing me all of your flaws. It means I'm still here and I still want to be here with you. And that means something to people.
That is beautiful. Well, to thank you for coming on today, I have a little gift.
Thank you so much.
It's actually a gift for your wife.
Oh, wonderful.
I hope
Perfect.
we have a wife and 3 kids, right?
2.
2 kids.
Don't
Okay.
put that on me.
Well,
Yeah.
you can open it up.
Okay.
And this is my beauty brand. It's actually a feminine care brand.
Oh my goodness.
So it's for the feminine area. Usually husbands thank me for
Got it.
gifting this to their wives.
Thank you.
And and everything's made with traditional Chinese medicine.
That's wonderful.
So it's all vegan, herbal. You can open it up. Yeah, so that's the intimate spray. So
Okay.
you spray down there
Oh.
before you get intimate or whenever you want.
Got it. With Japanese honeysuckle. All right.
Yes, yes, that helps
great.
the libido. You can open it up actually. There's a sticker on the other side.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm
On the other
excited
side.
with
The other
Right
side.
here?
Oh, yeah, other
this. No, the sticker's right
Here we
here.
go. There.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, easy. For anybody listening, this is super easy to open. Easy sticker, pulls right
yeah,
up.
check it out on YouTube.
Yep,
We have the
yep,
video.
The box is great. You don't have to tear it open like a caveman like me.
Yeah, they are made for women's more dainty fingers, but your fingers
That's
aren't
true.
too brutish.
No. They're the most brutish. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
here we go.
you can have a little spray the back of your hand.
Okay, let's do it.
So, so basically we have wash wipes and sprays to fight
Okay.
odor, dryness, and irritation. What do you think of the smell?
It smells amazing.
What does it remind you of?
Chinese herbs. It smells great.
Yeah, and this can be used as a full body deodorant, so not just the vaginal area, but also, wherever else.
Okay.
And then that's the wash that I gave you.
That's
and
awesome.
You know what's fun is that a lot of times our customers will put the wash in the shower and then their husbands will use it on their face. So you can
On
try
their-
using the wash on your face, and she can use it on her other face.
That is not the combo I was expecting, but makes sense.
But everything is very clean and safe, and yeah.
How wonderful.
I hope Mrs. Fisher
Well,
loves
thank
our
you very
products.
much. This has been a labor of love, I'm sure.
It has. We launched a year
Truly.
ago.
Oh, awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. And how's it going?
It's going well. We just got greenlit for so starting in May, I'm going to be flying to Philadelphia
That's fantastic.
to do the show. I'm super psyched about it. In my Netflix show, as part of my makeover for my students, I incorporated traditional Chinese medicine and feng shui.
I love that.
And then I guess my audience really leaned into that. And part of my mission as an international Chinese woman is to bring the best of Chinese culture to the rest of the world.
That's an awesome mission. That's wonderful.
So we launched that a year ago.
And
yeah.
Is this, how much do you have in your line? Is it just these two?
We have wipes as well. So wash, wipes, and sprays.
Very cool. You must be very proud. That's a lot to be excited about. And I think that's a wonderful mission and cause. Happy
Thank
to support
you.
it. Yeah.
Jefferson, it's been a pleasure having you today. I mean, this is just so valuable. What you're doing is so powerful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me on and letting me talk and just be with you. That's been awesome.
This is Mind Your Manners, and I'm your host, Sara Jane Ho. No matter what life throws at you, with me in your ear, you got this. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and check us out on YouTube.